is fiscal deficit and why do we care so much about it? The government is set to run a fiscal deficit when its expenditure is higher than the revenue it generates. In most cases, it covers this gap through borrowings. A fiscal deficit is not always considered bad. Under some conditions, such as economic slowdown or a recession, economists actually recommend that the government run a larger deficit. Higher government spending can boost demand and lift it out of the doldrums. This is called pump priming the economy. Running a deficit is also seen as justified for developing economies which may need to spend more to build infrastructure. But there are downsides to running a fiscal deficit. For one, if the government borrows more from one market, the cost of borrowing goes up for everyone, including the government. Also, a fiscal deficit can prove to be inflationary. This can be understood in two ways. If the government spending generates the same demand for the same amount of goods and services, those get costlier. The inflation impact also depends on whether the fiscal deficit is a result of higher spending or lower revenues. Higher deficits can also lead to inflation if a country's central bank monetizes the deficit by buying the central government's bonds. In this scenario, the money supply in an economy increases, which leads to inflation. In India's case, there is one other reason why the government must stick to its fiscal targets. The revised Fiscal Responsibility and Management Act requires that the deficit be brought down to 3% by 2017-18. But this target has eluded the government so far, and for now it hopes to keep fiscal deficit at 3.3% of GDP.